Official clock says 10.
I don't know who he's talking about.
This time I'll call the April 18, 2016 meeting of Limestone County Commission to order. I'm going to assume there's no public comment since Kelly's the only one from the public here. So, Kelly, if you'll give us our courthouse update.
Morning.
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 All right. Last couple of weeks, as far as the site work goes, not been a lot been going on. We've got all the utilities in, so basically the site work is just dressing up the yard and that kind of thing. So we'll probably wait till later in the spring to get that started. We removed the trash chutes, if you've noticed, from the windows, so at least maybe some
Looks
people
a lot
will
better.
see that progress is at that point. We have no roof work in the last couple of weeks to address, so but that I think there's some issues between the contractor and his sub, and they're working that out. But the roof is dried in, so no water's penetrating into the building at this time. But there is some work left. We've got some, like I said last time, the coping around the perimeter on top of the stone. That's still left to do, and some minor issues with some flashing and that kind of thing. We're still working on the dry pipe system in the attic to the large courtroom on third floor. They've got the holes cut through the ceiling. They'll be installing the sprinkler drops this week to that courtroom, and that's from the attic. So we've tested all the hot and chill water piping in the attic, and they've started insulating that this week. So that should wrap that up either today or tomorrow.
I noticed they attaching all the duct work to the grid, all the vents,
Right.
the third floor.
Mm-hmm. That's actually happening on second and third floor.
About all your ceiling grids are in third
Yes,
and second floor.
we've probably got on second and third floor. We've got about 90% of the ceiling grid in, and have most of the sprinkler drops to the ceiling grid. We've got probably 80 to 90% of the ductwork run and the diffusers into the ceiling grid. The only thing we haven't started is installing the lights. The electrician has had some of his electricians have been sick, and he's kind of fell a little bit behind, but they are going to put more people on the site this week and start some of the lighting in the second and third floors. We've got most of the drywall completed on second and third floor, except for the stairwells we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I'm getting costs on that. Should have that ready this week. We've painted nearly all the walls on second and third floor as far as primer goes. They're working on painting the window trim now. Most of it is done. They put the primer coats on and started the caulking and that kind of thing. So all the wood trim, second and third floor, most of it's completed. We've got just miscellaneous base and chair rail where we're finishing up small pieces around columns and that kind of thing. The first floor, we've started leveling the lobby floors. They've got that completed late last week, getting ready for the tile floors in there. On the north end of first floor, we've installed all the drywall and painted the walls with primer. South end in the DA's area, we have got the rough end on the walls completed. Should start drywall this week. Also on first floor, we're working to get all the fan coil units set. They've started the copper branch lines from the main water lines to the fan coil units. They should have that done midweek and started insulating later on this week to get ready to fire the units up. We've gotten we've flushed out the heating and cooling system piping for about a week, run some chemicals through it, some soap, that kind of thing, trying to get all the debris out of the pipe, any scaling that might be happening. So that's been flushed out twice. We're adding chemicals today, and these are the permanent chemicals that will stay in the system. We're gonna start running the system 24 hours. So all the pumps are working, water's working, no leaks in the pipe, all that's being insulated. And as of last week, we have the data and audio bid that took place a couple of weeks ago. That contractor has mobilized to site, and they've started some above ceiling work. So, and I met with the Jim Lanham with the city utilities Wednesday, and the county has sent a couple of employees up there to help us locate these light pole bases, the existing ones. We've got the dimension of those, the bolt layout, and that's been sent to the manufacturer of the new light poles to see if it's going to be feasible to reuse these. If not, then we probably need to just dig new light pole bases and just redo all of it. But we'll know more once Jim Lanham gets with the manufacturer.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right?
I have a question.
Yes,
Kelly. Is the sprinkler system totally wet, even in the clerks?
No. No, the sprinkler system is totally wet except for the attic and the large courtroom, because that piping has to come from the attic. Since the attic is not tempered as far as temperature, then that system up there is a dry system.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pamela, could you call roll, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Danny, did you have something?
Thank you.
Did you call roll, Pamela?
Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Turner,
Here.
Commissioner Black,
Here.
Commissioner Harrison.
Here.
Everybody present. Commissioner Black, could you read the pledge? You got it.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving right along, at this time, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes from March 30th, April 4th, and April 13th, 2016. Do I hear such motion?
I make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by either Mr. Hill or Mr. Harrison. They both said it at the same time,
I defer.
simultaneously. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item, I'll ask for a motion to approve claims in the amount of $624,371.84 as presented to the commission. Do I hear such motion?
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Black. I think he edged you that time, Commissioner.
We're all trying to beat him today.
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next, there's no resolutions or orders to come before the commission. Our next item, contracts, agreements, grants. I'll ask for a motion to approve the mutual assistance agreement. It's in your packet. We talked about Wednesday. Do I hear such motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agreement for service with Earthlink that includes the E91 addressing in the amount of $2,022.06 per month for a period of 3 years. Do I hear such motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We have one budget revision. It's the flashing, or the ply flashing around that little eyebrow around the Veterans Museum. They put the new roof in, but this is where water was running down the side and going in. It's to take $2,900 out of the budgetary fund balance and place it in there to make this needed repair. I hear a motion to make such change.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Hill. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. There are no emergency purchases, no board appointments, no bids to be awarded. In personnel action, I'll ask for a motion to promote Corey Watkins to Equipment Operator 2 in District 1. Do I hear such a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Hill. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Harrison. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item is to employ Kathy Lamb as licensed tag clerk pending drug and alcohol screening. Do I hear such motion?
Make a motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Harrison. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item, merit increases. I think there's a list of 19 names you have before you supplied. Do I hear a motion to grant these merit increases as submitted?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to go into executive session to, for the purpose of discussing something that may impact the good name and character of an individual.
Have a motion to go into executive session. Do I hear a second? I'll ask again, do I hear a second? If there's no second, motion fails for lack of a second. I'll ask once again for a motion to grant the merit increases as submitted to the commission.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
No.
Motion carries 3-1. Now we'll move on to engineers report.
Don't have anything for you to vote on today, gentlemen, but I did want to report that Thatch Road project is underway. They're up there placing patching this morning. Also, wanted to say, and of course, there's a smattering of other projects going on or in various levels towards occurring. But anyway, also want to thank you for letting us put gutter up on the shop. That has, for the most part, gotten us back in the dry, and I appreciate that.
Could you touch on the incident too, that Aldot, the person you were...
Last week, I don't remember, I'm thinking it was Friday, but I'm not positive about that. Anyway, DOT was doing work out on the interstate, as I understand it, and had all their traffic control set up just like it was supposed to be. And their personnel were even off on the shoulder, is my understanding. And there was an accident that occurred. Driver, at least one, maybe two, not sure right now. I was told came into their protected area, and one of the employees was injured and the other one was killed. And I just wish that folks would take a moment and give some consideration to when district crews and engineering crews are out on the roads and they're doing their jobs, doing them to the best of their ability. We set up traffic control. We try to allow our employees a safe place to work, to have a safe place to work. But we can only do so much. The folks driving the vehicles through those areas, they bear a huge responsibility on whether or not we're successful in keeping our employees safe. Mm-hmm. And I do wish that folks would take some time and think about that. Slow down when you come through those areas. I don't know anybody that's in such a hurry that it's worth costing someone their life. And anyway, I just would appreciate if the traveling public would keep those kinds of things in mind. We want desperately for our employees to go home safe at the end of the day and back to their families and to continue to enjoy their lives. And so, but we need the traveling public's help to make that happen.
I will echo that. I mean, we've had occasions where we've had flagmen out there and they had to leap to the ditch to get out of the path of the moving car when he's got a stop sign in his hand. And it just needs, people need to assume when they see a flagman that there's something in the road, okay, that will affect their travel, that they can't proceed normally.
Thank you, Brian. Other business, I'll ask for a motion to approve litter crews to operate 8 hours per day for a 4-day 4 days per week for remainder of fiscal year 2016. Do I hear such motion?
Make a motion?
I have a motion by Mr. Harrison. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? If there's no discussions, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. There are no scheduled public hearings. We'll move at this time to report of the officers. Commissioner Hill?
Yes, we're gonna be, we was up Friday at the, Ardmore Senior, this should be Ardmore Senior Citizen Center. We met with Rogers Group and chairman's up there, and I wanted to echo that Rogers Group has been a good neighbor to us. They have made donations to fire departments throughout the county and also to schools. And we are gonna be asphalting hopefully the second week of May, this Ardmore Senior Citizen Center and Safe Room, parking area. And I just want to echo again the job that the district hands have done and the county employees have done on this. And also, I want to talk about Thatch Road a little bit. This is something that I've made comments for the last 3 years, I guess. And now that I see a milling machine up there, Thatch Road again is underway and hope to be asphalted sometime this summer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Turner?
We completed the work on Newby Road. It'll remain with loose stone, at least for the remainder of this week and next week for sure, until we can get our paving crew out there to go over that. But if you live there and you travel there, just know that there will be loose stone, so drive accordingly.
Excuse me, can we go back to Commissioner Hill? Can you make that in the form of a motion for the Ardmore Senior Center? I think we need a motion on this
Okay.
to pave it.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that our paving crew be allowed to pave this parking area. Ardmore will be financing the project. Commission will be furnishing the labor.
I have a motion. It says Elmont, but it's the Ardmore.
Change that to Ardmore.
Senior Center and Safe Room parking lot to be fully reimbursed. Do I hear a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. This time we'll move to Commissioner Black's report.
All right. We're gonna start our road cutting here and cutting the right of ways sometime 1st of June. It's a great time for us to be able to get the information out to the people, just like Commissioner Harrison and Bryant said a little while ago. I got a 16-year-old daughter, and I tell her, if you see a flashing light, I don't care if it's on a bicycle, slow down. I don't care if it's on a barrel, slow down. Most of the time you see a flashing light, that means something's different, something's changed. It can be red, it can be yellow, it can be clear. Slow down. If you see people standing on the side of the road working, don't do the same speed limit that you were doing beforehand. When you get ready to approach the men, slow down. That's so important. Now, if we're working on the side of the road and the speed limit's 45, they'll just swap lanes and continue to do 45 miles an hour. It's amazing that more people are not hurt. It really, really is. Because almost every time I send a crew out, there is an incident that could have gone completely wrong. So, and at night it's even worse because they just assume at night that we're watching their headlights and they're not watching us. So, other than that, I don't have anything. Just please be safe. We don't need a casualty here in Limestone County from one of our employees.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Harrison?
We're finishing up prep work on Anderson Road this morning. It was kind of a test to address the broken off portions off the side of the road, and it went well last week. And this morning we had to tweak a few things. One thing that we may have to do Since there was a pretty heavy rain after that, we may have to try to squeeze in the time frame between the time that we put that material down and we get it covered with chip seal. So, but it worked out well. I was very pleased.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for coming today. Evan and Adam, everybody else didn't have a choice, I don't guess. The farmer's market will be open the first Tuesday in May.
Very good. I hope we have tomatoes.
With that, thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching. We will recess to 10 a.m. Wednesday, April 27, 2016 at the Washington Street Courthouse Annex, 310 West Washington Street, Athens. Thank you.